Oh, hello. Welcome to tropical Melbourne, the setting for another huge episode of Pacific Pool Shot.
Can't give it, just can't give it away. Can't give it, just can't give it away. Can't give it, just can't give it away. Can't give it, just can't give it away.
In this episode of The Pool Shot, we'll take a look at the performances of the East Asia Pacific players currently based in Melbourne on scholarships. We'll head to Geelong and have a look at the Australian Country Cricket Championships where EAP were represented. Tom Evans from the ICC will pay a few surprise house inspections on the scholarship players. And our feature interview is with the Australian Parliamentary Secretary for Pacific Island Affairs, the Honourable Richard Marles. All that and more on Pacific Pool Shot. Bustling Melbourne, with a population of over 4 million people, is home to the ICC East Asia Pacific Regional Office. Widely regarded as the sporting capital of the world, Melbourne is host to a number of international sporting events such as the Boxing Day Test and the Australian Open Tennis. This passion for sport has made Melbourne the perfect setting to host several developing cricketers from the East Asia Pacific region on scholarships with local sub-district cricket clubs. The scholarship initiative first began when Cricket PNG gained sponsorship through a long-time servant of the game in their country, the late Brian Bell, who started the Brian Bell Future Players Scholarship Program. This program began sending more than a dozen PNG players to Australia each year to not only further develop their cricket, but also gain valuable life experience that would leave them in good stead when touring the world in global qualifying events.
The club is different to what we have back at home. Obviously they have club rooms and it's good to socialize after the games. Another thing would be education. Most of the boys don't not English is not the first language, so it's good that they talk around with other guys that are really well educated, so it helps them as well.
On the back of the success of the Brian Bell initiative, other countries in the region with the assistance of the ICC EAP are following suit, and this year players from Vanuatu, Japan and Fiji have joined the PNG boys in Melbourne, playing regular high quality cricket and are loving the experience.
They take really good care of us, and they pick us up at game day and they watch over us, invite us for Christmas parties, and we're having lots of fun with them.
A number of players are making a real impact on the field for their clubs, with several averaging in the 40s with the bat and causing some real problems with the ball.
So we've got John Bogereva and Norman Ranua playing for Donvale Cricket Club this season. The boys have done outstandingly well on the field. Norman's I think he's one of the leading wicket takers, while John's been up there in the wickets and making a couple of half centuries on the way.
But it's not just the performances on the field that are leaving a positive impression with the clubs. North Melbourne Cricket Club is hosting 3 players from Vanuatu, and their chairman of selectors, Gary Robertson, believes it's a win-win for both parties.
The things that impressed us about the 3 boys, what brilliant fielders they are. So that's the first thing that stuck out, that brilliant athletes.
Every Friday, players are given the opportunity to train at the Maddox Indoor Cricket Facility in Blackburn. This not only provides a great opportunity for players to work on their skills, but also gives them time to socialise with other scholarship players from different countries. The East Asia Pacific region has also registered 2 teams in the Melbourne midweek cricket competition played on Wednesday afternoons. One team of boys from PNG who won the competition last year, and another team made up of players from Fiji, Vanuatu and Japan. Currently the sides occupy the top 2 positions on the table. A highlight on the East Asia Pacific regional calendar is the Australian Country Cricket Championships, a Cricket Australia tournament that brings together Australia's best country cricketers for a 2-week event of 2-day 50-over and T20 cricket. Through the support of Cricket Australia, the East Asia Pacific region has been provided the opportunity to register a team in this event since 2004. The Australian Country Cricket Championships is a fantastic opportunity to showcase the talent in the East Asia Pacific region. For example, in today's match against Queensland Country, 2 boys from PNG opened the batting, we had a boy from Fiji and a boy from Samoa open the bowling, and they were all captained by a guy from Vanuatu. This year's tournament was in Geelong, just a hop, skip and a jump down the freeway for 8 of the scholarship players selected in the final squad of 14. These players were joined by 6 others who were flown in from Vanuatu, PNG, Fiji and Samoa.
Oh, it's an awesome feeling, you know. I've been to the training camps twice before, and to make it this time around, you know, it's an awesome feeling.
After finishing a disappointing 6th out of 8 teams in 2011, the EAP side was determined to make a quick impact in 2012, and this they did with a comprehensive win against Northern Territory in round 1. They followed this up with wins over the ACT and Victoria Country to not only make it the first time the side had won 3 matches in a tournament, but also placed them second on the table after 5 rounds and still in the hunt for their first ever title.
To represent your region, it's quite amazing thing to, it's, since the boys are doing well, I'm enjoying it, yeah.
As the temperature in Geelong dropped significantly for the final 2 rounds, the Pacific Island boys not only struggled with the cold, but also failed to show the same poise and composure that saw them labelled the surprise packet of the tournament. Unfortunately, they dropped their last 2 matches against Queensland and eventual champions New South Wales. However, for the first time, they've left the field knowing that they are now a genuine contender and a side to be watched in the coming years. Adam Cassidy reporting for Pacific Poolshot. Well, it's great to see all the scholarship boys doing so well during their time in Australia, but I'm just a little bit concerned that some of them think they're here for a bit of a holiday and don't actually like cricket at all. Just to make sure, I've sent ICC staff member Tom Evans around to a few of their houses to conduct surprise inspections.
Thanks, Adam. Just behind me here is the Vanuatu boys' place. I'm just going to sneak around the back of their place and pay them a bit of a surprise visit. Ready to go? Impressive.
What a 6.
Okay, here we are. We've just snuck into the PNG boys' place. Hopefully they're behaving as well as the Vanuatu guys. Let's check it out.
Good day, Tom.
Hello, boys. What are you doing there?
Reading.
Very impressive. What are you reading? Jay, what have you got there? Hey, what's this? Okay, here we are at the Japanese boys' place. Let's see what they've been up to. Seems like the Japanese boys aren't home. I'll see if I can ask one of their neighbours where they are. Excuse me, mate. Excuse me. Oh.
Yeah, man.
Have you seen the Japanese boys?
Oh, you mean the cricketers?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, they're never home, those boys. There's some cricket nets down the road.
Oh, yeah.
24/7. These boys sleep down there. They're just obsessed with these cricket nets.
Alright, maybe we should head down there. Alright, I think I can see the boys just behind me here. Let's see what they're up to. G'day, boys. What are you doing?
Just training.
Alright, well that's a wrap on the player placements. It looks like most people are doing something at least cricket related, so good on you, boys.
So I'm Karen McMillan and I'm taking over from Adam Cassidy holding the glove for this edition of Pacific Poolshot, and we've got a special guest with us. So the Federal Member for Corio and the Parliamentary Secretary for Pacific Island Affairs, Richard Marles. Welcome.
Thanks, Karen. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good.
Now, normally in these episodes, the backdrop is a white sandy beach on one of the Pacific Islanders, which I'm sure you've been to many. But we're in the great city of Geelong, and we're here at the East Belmont Cricket Club for the Australian Country Cricket Champs, where we've got the East Asia Pacific team competing. And I guess you've got a bit of mixed loyalties, being a Victorian country boy. And tell us how yesterday's game went between EAP and Victoria Country.
Well, this is my two worlds colliding, as I think they used to say on Seinfeld. So where we're sitting now is next door to my electorate, but my electorate is based on Geelong. I grew up here in Geelong, and I think there's half a dozen Geelong boys playing in the Victorian country team in these championships. But of course, I'm the pale sec for Pacific Island Affairs and spend a lot of my time in the Pacific region and feel, a very strong commitment to the region. And the Asia Pacific side competing in these championships as well, and the boys from Asia Pacific beat Victoria yesterday, which was reported very shyly in the Geelong Advertiser this morning. So a little bit of mixed loyalties, but it's great to see them doing well, and I think they're number 2 on the ladder at the moment, which is a very impressive outcome indeed. Now,
you mentioned you're the Parliamentary Secretary for Pacific Island Affairs, so you would have had a strong involvement in what we have as a significant source of our funding, which is through AusAid for the Pacific Sports Partnership. So can you tell us a bit about that funding, how it came about, and where it's got to now?
Well, I think one of the most strong things that we have in common is sport, and sport I think has an enormous role to play in building relationships between people in Australia and people in the Pacific. It's really, Kieran, not much more complicated than the fact that we love sport, people in the Pacific love sport, so we should just do more sport, and so that's kind of the basis of it. And when Kevin Rudd was Prime Minister, he instituted the Pacific Sports Program, and through a small group of sports, but the major sports in Australia, we're funding programs where the national organisation, in the case of Cricket Australia, are doing outreach programs in the Pacific. This is a really good outcome in terms of people being more active, better health outcomes, getting more girls involved in sport. This is really important. Diabetes and non-communicable diseases, they're an issue in Australia, but they're very much an issue in the Pacific, so getting people active around that is really important. So I think sport has a big role to play. It has a big role to play in those kind of issues of women's empowerment in terms of health, but it's got a really big role to play in just solidarity between Australia and the Pacific.
Awesome. Well, we've actually got a 4-year goal by 2015 that participation in our region will increase by over 25%, and we'll have over 200,000 people playing cricket. If we look even further, in 10 years' time, where would you see cricket going in the Pacific region?
Well, we were having a bit of a chat before this off air, but I would love to see, I'd love to see Pacific faces playing professional cricket around the world. I think as we see T20 emerging globally in India, but of course this year here with the Big Bash in Australia, it's been a phenomenon. I think the opportunity to see Pacific faces playing in those kind of competitions, which I think suit the Pacific spirit really well, that would be a wonderful thing to see. And Samoa, as an example, I think there are a couple of Samoan boys playing in the team over the last week and going forward next week. Prime Minister Tuilepa in Samoa is very keen to see cricket developed in that country, and he is very keen to see Samoans playing cricket on the world stage. So, I think there's great opportunity for the future.
Yeah, well, absolutely. As a Kiwi, then we're actually quite reliant on having a Samoan involved as our national captain. So,
not just cricket, in rugby as well. In fact, I said to Prime Minister Tuilepa I was so keen to go and see Samoa because I wanted to actually find out where all the All Blacks come from.
All Blacks world champions, by the way. No, thank you very much. It's been an absolute privilege to have you on the show, and good luck for the 2012 year.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Same to you.
Well, that's it for another show. Just remember, if you want to keep up to date with any cricket activity throughout the EAP region, log on to our website or follow us on Twitter. Thanks, and see you next time.